If you're trying to craft the higher level armors in the game, you'll find that invariably you need leather. So, like, even the basic ones will require some amount of leather, but the better quality armors get higher and higher in the amount of leather required. You can see this commando outfit requires 25 leather, for example, as well as the other difficult to get things like forged steel and legendary parts. Leather, however, is one of the most difficult things to find in the game. And if you're like me and you're crafting armor parts for all your friends, which is going to require all the bits. Obviously, you're going to want the outfit, the helmet, and the gloves, and the boots. You're going to need various bits of leather for each of these. So you can see each of these requires 25 leather at level 6. So that's obviously a lot of leather to get. I'm going to show you how to do that. The most obvious way to get leather is obviously harvesting from animals. So that means you need to kill animals and then harvest their corpses. This actually isn't very efficient though. It doesn't give you a great deal of leather. Especially if you're a fool like me and you're using a spade to do it because you haven't brought a knife with you. But using a boar, for example, we get a very small amount of leather. And also, in my experience, animals are few and far between. There don't seem to be a lot of them, so unless you're using your skills and ability points on harvesting and hunting, you'll probably find you don't get much leather this way. But there are other ways. If you look at the harvesting challenge, so press Y on your keyboard and go to the challenges section, you can find down the bottom there's a way to basically track where leather is. On this page, it also tells you that leather can be harvested from leather couches, animals, and leather restaurant booths. Now, this tracking for the harvesting is actually very useful, especially early on, because it gives you an idea of where things are. You'll get a little indicator on the items which will give you leather, so you can go and harvest from those, breaking them down with a wrench or other tool, like a hammer, for example, getting the leather out of them. So a leather couch or a leather sofa will break down and eventually give you leather. Now, this does take quite some time, depending on the tool you're using and obviously your abilities, and it can be a bit of an arduous process, isn't it? It does take quite a while to work your way through these. However, in my experience, this actually gives you more leather than you would get from hunting animals, and it's easier to do because if you're already going around and basically investigating various different buildings and looting them, then breaking down leather that you find in there makes it pretty easy. The other thing to watch out for is office chairs. So you can break office chairs down and you'll get leather out of those as well. They're very common and you'll find them in a lot of different buildings, so they're pretty easy to find and then break down that way. With leather couches, they require a lot of breaking down. It is important to use the right tool. You can see a flaming spade doesn't seem to be returning much in the way of materials from it, but if you use a wrench or other tool that's used for destroying things and gives you resources while doing so, then you should find that you get more out of it. Now, you have to watch out for leather couches, because standard couches won't give you leather. You usually get wood and maybe cloth out of them, but leather ones definitely will. The other thing I found is that empty leather trunks, or leather trunks which you can search, will also give you leather. You can see it has 2,000 hit points though, so you need a lot of patience for this. But 5 leather out of 1 trunk is actually quite a lot of leather, so it is worth taking the time to do it. Maybe use a sledgehammer to break down the most of it. I've said already that office chairs are great for harvesting. One thing that I've noticed is that you can pick them up, so you can pick up quite a lot of office chairs, which means that you can then take them and put them down in your base perhaps. But the other thing you can do is once they're in your inventory, you can press the S button to scrap them, or go into the menu and click to scrap them, and when you scrap them you'll get leather out of them, and you get a lot of leather as well, so it's a really good way of doing it. Although you don't get a lot of leather from hunting animals, there are some exceptions. You'll find, for example, that there are giant mutant pigs in the world, as well as large bears that you have to deal with in some locations. And if you can kill all the zombies in that area and then kill the pig or the bear, you'll naturally get some good materials out of those as well. Hopefully you found these tips on how to find leather useful. Let me know in the comments if you know some others as well. Thanks for watching.